anxiety, depression, stress, paranoia, uncertainty. All of these are the dominant emotions that people are feeling during this lockdown. So if we have to unpack and we have to go deeper and deeper and deeper, eventually we will get to the baseline of the most, the emotion actually rides all of these, and that is fear. Fear is the overriding emotion, and that is the collective consciousness energy right now. It is fierce. When you go out there, that is why the energy is like so heavy and it is so tense, and you can actually feel the fear in the air, and understandably so. Because this is a very, this pandemic is really serious, and although we had previous flus in the past, this one is more aggressive, so we have to take our precautions. But that doesn't mean that we actually need to stay in that low vibrational state of all of those negative emotions that I just mentioned, because what is happening is that the body is going to in turn produce hormones in order for your body to cope. So your body is probably going into adrenal fatigue right now because of the adrenaline rush the adrenals will have to produce, and the cortisols that have to go in order to for the brain to manage the stress and all of that. And what in turn is it actually doing to your immune system? So when we talk about fight or flight, right now we're thinking about the pandemic, and we're thinking about how afraid we are of getting the pandemic. So we are stressed, and when we are stressed, then we're going into fight or flight mode. Do I need to rush and escape and save myself from the situation? And what happens is that the body will start, getting all the blood flow going to the hands and the legs so that you can get into the flight mode. And while that is happening, can you imagine what is happening to the rest of the body? Everything starts to get compromised as well. Now, the body is designed for fight or flight when we are facing danger. However, if we are staying in that mind frame and in that state of consciousness, then can you imagine how compromised our body will remain? Because where focus goes, energy flows, and it is the same with our internal functioning, where the body needs to assist, certain organs and certain parts in order for our body to cope, in order for our survival. Then there's other areas that do get compromised. So in turn, your immune system is going to get compromised. While I am not dismissing the seriousness of this pandemic, what I am saying is that you cannot control the pandemic. You cannot stop it from happening. It is spreading, right? But you can take your precautions, and you can also shift your mindset, because when you are at home, like in lockdown, and you are experiencing all of these negative emotions, that is actually creating your everyday and every moment experience. And the only person that has power over that experience is you yourself. So if you had to shift it, and you had to start focusing on everything else that you can do, that you do have control over. And that will mean to take good care of your health. And when I say health, I don't just mean the physical health. We're talking about mental, emotional, spiritual health. Because mental health, if your mental health isn't very balanced, it's going to cause a chemical imbalance. And that also leads to emotions, and your emotions are going to also affect every other organ, because every organ has a consciousness. Like if we're talking about fear, then your kidneys are actually going to be imbalanced, because that kidneys is responsible for producing fear. So the moment you're feeling fear, investigate it and see exactly what am I afraid of. And the more, the more you resist something, the more you resist, whatever you resist shall persist. So the more you're resisting that you don't want to get this virus, you don't want to get it, the more it shall persist. It is like a flu. There are many people that have it, and there are many people that recover from it. So it's your responsibility to keep yourself healthy, not just physically healthy, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And that means to work on letting go on all of these low vibrational negative emotions, and start meditating more, start getting yourself more into self-acceptance and self-love. So work on letting go of the emotions that keep us stuck in bitterness, anger, hatred, all of these things, because that's what we see the world with, and then it keeps us so negative. But if we have to start shifting and thinking, okay, fine, I think the real fear that this pandemic is also bringing is that if we get it, then that means the end of our time. But the reality is that we all have come into the world with an expiry date. And be it with the coronavirus, and God save us from this, because then we can't be with our loved ones. And I would love to go with my loved ones around me. Be it from a heart attack or an accident, the reality is that the angel of death shall take no blame. So there will be some excuse and some reason for why we will leave. So if you realize that your time here is limited and this virus is actually showing you it's more limited than we think, maybe, maybe not. What would you do differently? How would you like to live your life? How would you like people to remember you? Why don't you start tapping into that? So start shifting yourself from all of these negative emotions, because that is causing you uneasiness. And again, it is releasing the hormones, and as it releases those hormones, the rest of the body gets compromised and it cannot function properly. I do also remember, tap at your cortices. It will help you to get everything into balance as well with deep breathing. I did post a video on that. If you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful, then do share it with those who you think can benefit from it. And until next time, from me, Razia Ranwich, your energy psychology coach. Lots of love and peace.